Hey guys, welcome in some cases, welcome back. I thought I would pop on live today. I know I've been feeding out videos for our 31 Days of Prevention series quite often, but every now and then I'll wake up with a thought or a message that I just feel will be better served in a live environment. So that's what today is all about. I entitled this Still Becoming, That's Life, and we'll dive into that subject as part of our 31 Days of Prevention series, which this is a video series for the month of October that I'm doing a new message every single day as an opportunity for us to just kind of come together, inspire one another, share information, motivate each other, all in the name of increasing awareness about domestic violence, and hopefully the goal is to prevent that from happening either continually or to stop it altogether if it hasn't happened to you. Certainly we don't want that to grace anyone's doorstep. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marci Batiste. I am the founder and executive director of 9 Seconds. We are a progressive nonprofit organization with a very heart-centered mission for domestic violence prevention, and typically we utilize some very non-traditional approaches by going to the root of the source, understanding that domestic violence actually is a symptom of a system, and you have to disrupt the system and reconstruct that in order to truly prevent domestic violence from happening and to eventually eradicate it. Partnering with businesses and colleges across the state of Arizona, ultimately our goal is to change the trajectory of domestic violence in our state and eventually in our country. Today's message, still becoming. For those of you who follow these videos, you know that I've been immersing myself in my former First Lady Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. And if you haven't read the book, I highly encourage you to do that. It's very telling and it's very inspirational if you go beyond the surface, because the surface is a lot of like background information about, their history and things like that, it's interesting, but what really strikes chords with me is how transparent and authentic she really is. And it really, today I was thinking, we're all still becoming something. So every time we walk through a new door or we try on a new thing, we have to figure out how we fit in that space, how we navigate in that space, how we're going to show up to the world in that space. And so that is part of that becoming process. And so she does a great job in the book about outlining how in these various phases she still had to figure out, when I get into Princeton, this is how I have to maneuver, and Harvard, and when President Obama started running for local office, then I have to operate this way. When he ran for the presidency, I have to operate this way. When he became president, I have to operate this way. And so she just does a great job of chronicling how we all have to, and I love it because it's at such a high level, right? We sometimes forget that even though we increase in our responsibilities and we increase in our influence and we increase in our successes, we're still becoming. We're still becoming. And, one of the things that I talk about in Surviving the Rain, the end in Surviving the Rain is for a new normal. And in that new normal, you're still becoming. You are becoming whatever it is you're going to be outside of that abusive relationship. And so I titled this video, hey T, I titled this video, Still Becoming, That's Life. And the that's life part really talks about as you're becoming whatever it is that you're becoming. So whatever new space it is, if you've accepted a new job or you've gotten a divorce or you're getting married or you have a new relationship or you have a new baby or you volunteer for your church or whatever these new roles and responsibilities and titles that we assume, with that, we have to become within that, right? But that's life. Life is actually an acronym. It's actually an acronym, and it stands for love, inspire, forgive, and engage. And it's those 4 things that you have to do as you're becoming, even though you're still becoming. Like, you still have to love, like, walk into every opportunity with love. And even when people disappoint you and you have to cut them off, do it with love. Do it from a standpoint that you're able to hold on to your true character. You know, I know for me, I had a situation with one of my exes that really took me way outside my character, like way outside. Like, I was really out of control, freaking out, flipping out, because he was a narcissist and people were trying to tell me I'm crazy about what I think and believe about how he treats me. And I'm spending all this energy and I'm pouring all this energy into proving that he's what I say he is, proving that he's a narcissist, proving that he's a cheater, proving that he's, to the point where, mind you, I'm a bank executive at the time. He so far outside my character, y'all, that I almost got arrested. Like, almost got arrested. The restaurant that I busted in on because he was in there cheating, almost called the police on me and almost had me arrested. And for me at that point, I knew I had to get out of that relationship, because it had taken me someplace where I didn't belong. I don't belong there. That's not my space. But I still had to leave that relationship in honor myself, right? I still left with love, not love for him, love for myself. And so anytime you walk into a new process or have a new experience, a new human experience, they happen all the time. You know, you meet a new person. How are you going to show up? Show up with love. Show up with your guard down, but your antennas on alert, right? So you have to pay attention. I'm not suggesting that we just ignore, you know, red flags and things like that. I'm saying, but show up with love, right? Let your inner peace shine through. Show up with love. The second part of that, of life, is inspire. Like, inspire somebody. And the funniest thing is it doesn't take a lot. And sometimes we forget, especially if we've been in difficult or stressful relationships, we forget that we're an inspiration, because we don't feel inspired anymore. We don't feel valued anymore. We don't feel like we matter anymore. But to somebody out there, you do matter. Your story is inspiring. And, you know, one of the things I always say is your story has value. There's value in your story. All of us have a story, and there's value in that story. And that story might not be for everybody, but for someone, your story is inspiring. Your story will be the thing that helps them get through their next day. It might be that thing that helps them get through this next moment, right? So walk in love, and remember to be inspirational. Remember, you are inspirational. Sometimes without even trying. You know, I had one of my dear friends, she sent me a message today, and it just said how much she appreciated having me in her life, and that she feels like God sent me for her, right? And that touched me in such a way I can't even explain. It's really probably why I started doing this video, because it touched me in such a way, because I don't feel like I've done anything. I don't feel like I've done anything to deserve that level of adoration and appreciation, right? But that's what I'm saying. We don't always know when we're inspiring, but if we walk into situations and we walk into circumstances with love and our true authentic selves, then it is inspiring. It is inspiring. And so we just have to remember that even though we've gone through a tough time, we still can inspire someone else even through our struggles. And you don't even have to be all the way outside of your struggle. Sometimes you just being completely transparent with where you are in the process, that is your inspiration. That is the part of your story that somebody needs to hear. The third part of life is forgive and forgiveness. We have to forgive, and you hear this 100,000 times. I'm not telling you nothing you haven't heard, but let me say this. You hear it 1,000 times. Forgiveness is about you. It's not about the other person. But let me put it into this context for you. Sometimes our failure to forgive means that we hold inside of us the pain, the anger, the anguish, and the other person is walking around having a great time and living their best life. Who's really suffering by you being unforgiving? Not them. They don't even know that you haven't forgiven them, nor do they most likely care that you haven't forgiven them. So forgiveness truly 1000% is about you. So even though we're still becoming, even though we're still moving through and we're still learning and we're building our new normals and we're figuring stuff out, we have to forgive. And sometimes, I'm going to tell you this straight from my heart, sometimes we have to forgive the unforgivable. You have to be able to forgive the unforgivable and understand that that was the space. That was the space. T, I know it is a beast. It is so hard, and it's especially hard when you're forgiving the unforgivable. When the transgression against you is so great that you have every right to hate. But hate doesn't hurt them, it hurts you. There's scientific studies that they've done about the effects of emotion on our physical health. So when we look at the link between our mental and our physical, it's interconnected. It's completely interconnected. And, I can think of a number of times when people have transgressed against me and the acts that they committed were absolutely unforgivable. And nobody would blame me for not forgiving. Nobody would blame me. In fact, people would question why I would forgive or how I could forgive. And I understand that their choice was their choice. The choice that they made affected me, but I cannot allow it to define me. And that's what forgiveness does. It keeps that stuff, that dirty, nasty stuff from defining you as you continue to become. Yes, you're gonna learn from those things, and you're gonna take things from those things, and it's gonna alter certain things about how you think. But you have to always be cognitively aware that from the pain, from the anger, from the frustration, from the despise in some cases, there are lessons. And you have to focus on the lessons. And if you focus on the lessons, forgiveness will come. And that's the easiest way I can explain to you how to forgive, is if you take what happened and you break it wide open and you look at it and you're like, that was their choices. It was his choice to molest me when I was 12. Now, when I cussed him out at 37, it felt good. I ain't gonna lie. But here's the thing. I had forgiven a long time before that. I had forgiven, and the only reason he got cussed out when he did was because he said some more offensive stuff to me at 37, and I'm not the 12-year-old girl that you can manipulate and abuse anymore. So he got a different version, because what I was still becoming from at 12, I had already became from at 37. And so he got an earful and a completely different experience. But it didn't come from a place of unforgiveness. It came from a place that said, this is a boundary. And you violated that when I was 12. You will not violate me again now. And that's okay. Boundaries are important. You have to have that, but you can't walk around without forgiveness. So when I say that's life, show up with love. Remember, you inspire. You still have to forgive, even sometimes when it seems to be unforgivable. It's not. Forgiveness is a choice, but it's a choice for you to choose you. And so remember that. And then the fourth piece of that is to engage. Be an active participant in your becoming. Be an active participant in your life. Be an active participant in your choices. One of the things that I used to let happen was I let life happen to me. That's how I ended up being a banker. I wanted to be a reporter and work for a magazine and go to college and get a degree in journalism and travel the world writing amazing stories about people. But I let life happen, and so I got pregnant, and then because I was pregnant, I got married, and because I was married, I'm doing the whole career thing because now I got this little human being I got to take care of, and I literally let life happen. It turned out okay. I'm not saying that my life sucked as a result, but it wasn't the life that I had envisioned for myself. But it happened the way that it happened because I wasn't engaged in the process. You know, I was waiting for somebody to tell me how to get into college. I was waiting for somebody to tell me how to go get a student loan or whatever the case may be. So those things kept me out of college until I was in well into my career. Well, by then I needed my college studies to look more like what I was doing. So I went into business management and accounting. I went into that because that's what my company paid for. Why if you can go to school and get a degree for free, why would I go study something that I got to pay for, right? But I wasn't engaged. Had I been engaged and had I understood what I understand now about life and choices and how we move and how we become, then I would have been more engaged back then, and I would have changed. I would have changed the trajectory of what my career path looked like. But I'm not displeased, because what I understand about all of that is that was part of the process. And when you're still becoming, and as you move through life, and as you learn and grow and you do all these things, you can't thwart the process. You can't thwart the process, but you do have to be engaged if you want to get the results that you want. You know, and this again is about domestic violence prevention all this month. But this life formula, love, inspire, forgive, and engage, you can apply that to anything. You can apply that to managing a relationship. You can apply it to leaving a relationship. You can apply it to getting a new job, to changing careers, to going into entrepreneurship, to whatever that thing is that you're becoming into. This applies. Walk into it with love. Remember, your story has value and you inspire. Forgive, even though it may seem unforgivable, and even though it's hard. And I think T said it's a beast. Yeah, it's a beast, but still forgive. Forgive doesn't mean forget. Forgive doesn't mean give them a pass. Forgive doesn't mean that what they did was right or that it didn't matter, because it does. It does matter. How you feel matters. But forgiveness is for you. And so breaking that offense apart and taking the lessons out of it and using the lessons to grow while you still become, that's forgiving. That's what forgiveness is, and that's how you do it. And then that final piece of engagement, be engaged in the process, be engaged in living your life, be engaged in your becoming, be engaged in everything that you do. Show up for you. If that's the one thing that I could say to anybody that I wish I had done better along the way, I wish I would have shown up for myself more. I for sure wish I would have shown up for myself in my abusive relationships. I wish on everything that I would have showed up for myself and learned to advocate for myself back when I was 12 years old and I was molested. A lot of things may have been different, But because I know that I can't undo any of the things that happened, they've all happened. They're in the past. I forgive, but I use those as tools as I'm still becoming whatever my next level is. And so that's the word for today, guys, in our 31 days of prevention. I hope that you heard something that was share worthy, and that you can share this video on your timeline, this live stream on your timeline. You just never know what people are going through. The one thing that I think we've learned throughout this pandemic is that people are hurting. People are suffering. People are struggling. I don't think that I have logged in to my Facebook or my Instagram or one of my platforms in the last year and a half and not seen a post that I had to say, I'm sending my condolences. If I had every single day, I see at least one RIP post. And as long as we're seeing those RIP posts, people are suffering, they're going through it. You just never know who needs a word. And just a reminder, you know, that's life. As long as we're alive, we're living life. So live with love, inspire, forgive, and engage. And that's my message for today, guys. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. In the meantime and in between time, stay well, stay healthy, stay blessed, and most of all, stay safe. And I'll be back with y'all tomorrow for another message in our 31 Days of Prevention series. Take care.